The following is a Orion Sportscast production. Here are your hosts Josh Egan, Brandon Waterhouse, and Matthew Fairclough.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here. It's Friday. We're feeling good. Pretty big sports weekend coming up, but really big for me because I got England in the Euro Cup final for the first time in my life. They're actually in the final of a major tournament, so I'm pretty excited about that. But how's everybody doing first?
Good, man. Yeah, that's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, 3 p.m.
Yeah, I definitely watched that.
Yeah, I actually took in. I know, unfortunately, Josh was begging me to come over to watch the semis with him. I knew that it would last long and I couldn't stay, but I actually caught myself watching the obviously extended time and that penalty shot that got saved, and obviously he put in the rebound. I was watching that to the extent that was exciting enough. So, all the Italians were going crazy when they won, and then Josh was going crazy when England won. So it'll be an exciting game on Sunday.
Yeah, that penalty kick that Harry Kane took was saved, and then he scored his own rebound. Had me thinking, how do we feel about a penalty that leads to either like a penalty shot or a free throw, or they don't really have one in football, or obviously a penalty kick in soccer? How do we feel about the rebound being live?
It is. It's live in basketball on the second shot, obviously.
Yeah.
That'd be funny on in NHL. Like when you ever played the video games, if you got mad, you put in the rebound on the shootout mode.
Right.
But I don't know. What do you think? Matt's always the wisest mind.
No, I just think you can't do that in hockey because it's like I think the players are just too good, and like I feel like most penalty shots, if you really do a good deke, like you have
max though. Like you know what I mean? Like one rebound max, maybe not.
I know, but like.
Fucking burying it.
I think it could turn into a gong show. Like if you shoot it, if you try to go five-fold, there's always a rebound, and then you would just roof that. Like I think NHL players are just too good for that. I know it sounds dumb, but like literally.
Interesting. I totally forgot when Harry Kane scored that goal that was a rule, and
so did I.
Yeah.
So you can imagine my range of emotions from going to pretty much having a guaranteed goal off a penalty kick to it being saved to then seeing it in the back of the net and then being like, oh shit, I remembered.
Exactly.
Right.
And then also you're mentioning a big weekend before we move on to the NBA Finals coverage. Poirier and McGregor on Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
What are you saying about this? What's the word on the fight? I just reminded myself about it today.
I think McGregor's going to knock his head off. Buddy looked fired up during the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw the press conference and he was throwing, apparently Poirier had some hot sauce. I don't know if it's his own, but he took the hot sauce and he threw it away on the ground, which was obviously Conor McGregor-like. So,
but like this McGregor we're seeing, it's kind of the McGregor we saw against Aldo, the McGregor we saw against Diaz, even the McGregor we saw against Mayweather. Like he's just fired up, taking personal shots. And yeah, he did lose to Diaz and he did lose to Mayweather, but he looked good. And the Mayweather fight was obviously a boxing match, and that was all,
He looked terrible in the Mayweather fight.
Show. I'm not a boxing fan. Nah, he looked good to me, but
okay.
But like this is what the UFC needs, because it is on a bit of a lull. Yeah, we've had some good fights, but they need that one guy that can draw people like us in. Like we're not going to watch every UFC fight, but if there's a kind of a story outside of the fight, like Mystic Mac is back with his throwing water bottles, taking shots at the other guy's family. Like that's what we want to see. Like he did an interview with Stephen A. Smith saying that Khabib did nothing for the sport.
Yeah, but dude, I think that's a little. Like the reason I don't like the UFC personally is just I feel like there has to be a difference between like hyping up a fight and reality. So like when you have McGregor saying that about Khabib, it's like, dude, like it's just so embarrassing when you actually think about it. Because like you trolled him, he kicked your ass, but you're still like talking about it. Like, is that not embarrassing? Like I see all these like I don't know, like I feel like maybe it's just like a black thing, but I feel like if you get beat up, you can't talk anymore.
What is
his pride? McGregor has a lot of pride.
Yeah, I see where Matt's coming from.
Josh, it's weird. Come on, it's honestly weird.
It's not weird because at the end of the day, how do these fighters make money? Pay-per-view buys and gate revenue. UFC are going to sell out every fight in an arena anyway. What else can you persuade? That's pay-per-view buys, and like we're not going to buy the fight.
Yo, Josh, I would argue that if McGregor made the first fight more competitive, I think that would be a bigger pay-per-view buy than him making fun of him.
But so that's why he didn't make the first one competitive. So now what's he resorting to? Being a dick to his opponent, which I'm like, oh shit, I want to see what happens now.
I do not.
They then don't.
Well, It's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting fight regardless of the build-up for sure. However, an exciting fight last night by one man in particular. Giannis Antetokounmpo goes for 41, nearly a triple-double. Essentially no help from his teammates, going down 2-0 to the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. Josh, I don't know if you caught a little bit of this, but what are you guys' thoughts so far? And how's this going? We all tried to film an episode the other day where we mentioned how if Giannis was in or out, that it would be an important game for the Suns to win. He was in both. Don't know how healthy he was. However, when you score 41 in that second game, you can argue that he's not showing any effects. So I was pretty impressed last night with the Phoenix Suns and their depth. And unfortunately, it's not competitive enough for guys like Middleton, Lopez, and a few other key pieces on Holiday as well on the Bucks. So what are you guys feeling so far?
No, Josh, you go first.
I just want to say, because my insight's going to be a lot less detailed than yours, but what I took from this game was that the Suns are and correct me if I'm wrong, the Suns are a more balanced team, and they're being able to overpower the star power that Giannis brings, right? So he pretty much put the Bucks on his back in that last game and carried them, 41 points. I don't know what his other numbers were, Brandon, if you have them, but it was one of those games where a star wanted to win it, and it didn't feel like the rest of the team was up to the level that he was at. And I think that reflected, and Brandon and I had a conversation about this earlier, and we can get to it a little bit later, where he was kind of on the bench, clapping his hands, yelling at his teammates, trying to hype him up, smacking the chair. Like that showed he wanted to win it. I just didn't get that intensity from his teammates. As for the Suns, kind of a good team effort was put forward. That's what I took from that game.
Yeah, sorry, 42 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists.
Right. What about his defensive numbers?
He had 1 steal, 3 blocks, which would have been a game high. So, yeah, really you can't do much more than what he does. And one of the criticisms before we hand it over to Matt, actually, that people on Twitter I've seen, I don't know how verified they are, is that Giannis isn't very well conditioned, and he can't go for longer than 5 to 6 minute stretches in a hardcore game. And he doesn't average usually as much as Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and other superstars, Chris Paul included, Jimmy Butler. It doesn't average nearly as close as those minutes. And Budenholzer, however you pronounce the coach's name, has actually been criticized for holding back Giannis, most notably back in his days with against the Raptors in that playoff series, and how he didn't play all the minutes. And obviously, I want to hear what Matt has to say now.
Yeah, I think that narrative's kind of bullshit. Like, he played 41 minutes. Like, I don't really know what more you want. And like, you just kind of look at the numbers. You compare it to Booker. Booker played 44. Chris Paul played 41, and Giannis played 40. So it's like I know what people are saying. I think it's more not just in this game particularly, but over the stretch. But you have to remember, Giannis as a big, well, not a big, but as a forward, and he's not a guard. He's not really expected to drop 40 every game. Like, that's not really his style. He's more of the LeBron mold, where I'm going to get 25, 10, 10, and like Brandon said, 3 blocks or something. So I think the takeaway from last game is the 3-point shooting on Milwaukee is absolutely terrible. Like, when you look at just from their starters, they hit 4 threes. And if you're in the NBA, you cannot only hit 4 threes in a playoff game, especially at the Suns. Like, you can't do that.
The Suns went 20 for 40, didn't they?
They went it's Devin Booker. Like, I think like his 3, he didn't hit a lot. Like, I don't know what his percentage was. I'll get it right now. He only went 58.3, so 7 for 12 at 3, but they're just so timely. And I just think Giannis, when you need a pick and roll, when you need all this to happen so you can get to the basket, it takes away so much from just the overall game and the flow, that when Devin Booker just comes and hits a 3 casually, it kind of sunks the whole game down. Like, Josh, I kind of go to hockey, how like a team like Montreal, they have to work so hard for every goal. It's a bang and crash. But you have Kucherov just coming in, doing a slap shot, and it's in, and it's easy. Like, you know what I mean? I think basketball is kind of like that sport. So until Milwaukee as a whole gets a good shooting game and hits threes, I don't really see them winning a championship. And to go back to one of Brandon's points, like Giannis against Kawhi and that thing, I think looking back, we don't understand how deep that Raptors team actually was. Like, we had OG on the bench. And I'm not even like, he didn't even get into the rotation. Like, we had
I got a good question then for us later on, actually.
Okay, yeah. Fun. So I just think we had so many good people, and that's kind of why Giannis lost. So I don't know if Milwaukee's deeper than the Suns, because I think the Suns, like, they have so much star power in terms of scoring. So I think like they could beat you 89, 75 or whatever, or they could drop 130. Like, I think the Suns are just so good. And I honestly think Booker, Ayton, and Chris Paul, all three of them are being in the Hall of Fame. Like, I know that's a bit crazy to say, and I know a lot of people might not agree with that, but I think that's true.
I think two of those guys will end up in the Hall of Fame for sure.
You don't think Ayton will?
Ayton has a high ceiling right now. A lot of people are comparing him, and I don't know if I like the comparisons or not, but I don't know if Matt's heard him. People compare him to the Admiral. What was that? That was he was on the San Antonio Spurs way back in the day. His nickname was the Admiral, and then Kendrick Perkins relates him to a couple other bigs. The Admiral. One second here. Who's the Admiral?
Yeah, I think Ayton will be, just from the standpoint as when you have a good big, like how Shaq was.
David Robinson.
Yeah, David Robinson.
Yeah. So I just think like how Shaq and Kobe were a really good guard and a big. That's kind of the formula to win. And that was supposed to be Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, which Simmons hasn't lived up. But anyways, I just think there's such a good combo, Booker and Ayton, that if you run that for the next 10 years, I think it's going to be kind of the thing. If Booker goes to the Hall of Fame, how can the guy right beside him not go to the Hall of Fame? Like kind of like a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen effect. Like if Scottie Pippen was the best player throughout his whole career, maybe you wouldn't be talking about it. But no, he played with Michael Jordan. Like how Brent Seabrook was on a pair with Duncan Keith. So now people think Brent Seabrook should go to the Hall of Fame. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, Josh? You have those kind of things throughout sports where one guy's so good he elevates another guy. I just think Booker and Ayton play so well together. And maybe all three of them won't go to the Hall of Fame, but I know for sure that Drew Holiday and Middleton will not go to the Hall of Fame. So just saying that, I think you have three superstars and a big head monster. Two of them are guards and a big man against Giannis and two all-stars, if and off, every year. So I definitely think the Suns are good.
I get your point. And I'd honestly love to talk about that. That could be a whole episode, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame, especially 8 and 3-4 years into his career.
That'd be a great episode. We each pick 5 athletes from sports to go into the Hall of Fame.
Regardless, obviously Giannis is bound for hopefully a Hall of Fame career, especially we're talking about Chris Paul solidifying his Hall of Fame status by this ring right now. Even dropping 42 points in the stats that he does, Giannis last night, including obviously the counting and the long free throw routine that he takes, misses obviously a lot of his free throws. The Bucks got to the line 23 times last night. The Suns got to the line 14 times. The Suns were 12 of 14, and the Bucks were 15 of 23. And Giannis continues to push the limit when it comes to his routine. However, it's starting to be, I think Jalen Rose is one of the sources that I trust, and I heard of him say today that hopefully the league will take something into effect, and maybe the countdown will be shorter, because it's kind of ridiculous seeing him get out-counted by the fans. Obviously, it's a rushed count, but it's tainted, especially with LeBron and Giannis. Some of their biggest downfalls is clutch free throws and free throws in general. So I'm not sure if that could climb the Bucks back into the series. However, the stats are lining up still pretty even, and that's the one where they fall off here.
Well, and you talked about the Bucks still being in it. Obviously, they were down 2-0 in the last series, right? Or was it the one before?
It was the one before against Brooklyn.
So they've been during this run. They've been down 2-0. So they're not out of it yet. But only 4 teams have come back from a 2-0 deficit to win in the NBA Finals. What do the Bucks have to do to get back into this series, and can they do it? Keep in mind the next 2 games are in Milwaukee. Matt.
Yeah, so I think obviously free throws and outside shooting, 3 points are much helpful, but you have to tire out Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul, he is getting older and he does come off the bench, and they kind of load manage him, but not really. It's more like just 2 minutes per game, but that is still something. Like if you can run up the score in those 2 minutes, you're golden. But I just think on defense, they got to start switching and try to get Booker on Giannis. Like it's kind of hard because they kind of play zone in Phoenix, and they're very versatile on defense, so it's kind of hard to get a good matchup. But I think you got to slow down Devin Booker, and I just think you go at him with Giannis, Lopez, just some of your big guys, to tire them out on defense. Because I think if Milwaukee wants to win, they can't go run and gun like kind of Golden State Suns, like this new age basketball. They got to play like they're in the 70s. Like they have the bigger guys. They have a more favorable matchup. And I just think, it's going to be very ugly basketball. So I think it's going to have to be some boring New York Islanders type of puck, you know?
That's a good comparison. I mean, something that's been a very highlight of the Bucks' negative success, obviously, but no success in this finals, is the play of Drew Holiday. Unfortunately, him having a less than average series, especially compared to the rest of his regular season and the start of the playoffs. And I think that he was brought in here to be one of those high caliber guards that actually could take on guys like Devin Booker. And if you're putting Giannis on Booker, I'm not too sure, obviously, if that's a great matchup. I mean, I know Lopez could take
on.
on.
I meant offensively. When Giannis has the ball, you charge at Devin Booker to tire him out. That's what I meant.
Right, and fouls. That brings up a good point too. However, when it comes to the Bucks and what they need to do to get back into this series, obviously they're going to need some depth scoring. And I think to my first point, you got to get Drew Holiday back involved. And for some reason, Brook Lopez is best when he's popping out to the side and hitting some range threes, and he hasn't been extending himself from beyond the arc lately, especially when it comes to spreading the floor. Giannis isn't known for shooting, and teams will notoriously back off of him if he's holding the ball above the three-point line, which I would still do as a coach. I would say that let him have those deep ones. However, when you're all clogging up the floor and Lopez is staying in the paint and Giannis is driving to the post and something like that happens, that's when all the clogged defense comes, and that's how you remember the Raptors clogging up the paint and just taking the ball away from Giannis, and this is why they're down 2-0. So obviously, the Islanders' style always kind of kept the series competitive. However, the Lightning style of the electric offense on the Suns isn't just one step, and I don't know if slowing down Devin Booker in general is a great point, because it is a great just single idea to win, rather, because Chris Paul is getting old, but I mean, he's not going to get age 50 in 2 weeks, so I think he can still drop 40 points within the next couple days here if Devin Booker gets cold, because Devin Booker had an 0-for-5 start, 0-for-4 start last night on his field goals, so it's not always up to him. However, like you said, 3 Hall of Famers. I'm sure if that would be the case if they could shut down Booker and you can see one of the other 2 come through, but depth scoring, because Giannis can't do much else in this series.
Well, my point kind of was because Devin Booker's not tired, he can start out 0-for-5 and by the third, fourth quarter turn it on. So I think your point kind of made my point more valid. That that's kind of what you need to do, because I like Chris Paul, but I think it's actually a compliment. He's so consistent. I know what he's getting from first, second, third, fourth quarter, but Devin Booker's a guy who can get 13 points in 5 minutes. He's not normal from that aspect of just going crazy and scoring. And I think Chris Paul, he loves distributing. There's some good looks he had in the third, fourth quarter, but he would pass it to Booker, or they would try to find an open man. But Devin doesn't do that. He will come and he'll just pull up and start shooting. So my point is, you got to eliminate him from the game. And I think if all you have to worry about offensively is Chris Paul and company and no Devin Booker, I think Milwaukee would win easily, to be honest with you. So I think Devin Booker is the main point, because I think he got 31 last night and Chris Paul got 20. So, you know what I mean? Not to take anything away from Chris Paul, I think he could be a better overall player, but he's not as elite scorer as Devin Booker is.
Yeah, I would agree with those points. Let's move on to some other basketball news. I heard a report, and it got me thinking. This is more of a hypothetical for you. Apparently, Golden State want to run it back next year. They're going to have all their main guys back, and they're looking to trade the guy they took second overall last year.
James Wiseman.
And I was thinking of potential trades, and I know the Raptors want to move Siakam. So how would you feel about a Wiseman for Siakam deal?
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know if this is true, but this was reported that it was be Wiseman and their 7th overall for Siakam. Now, if I'm the Raptors, I would do that so quick. It's not even funny.
I would do it without the pick too.
No, I like the pick just because you don't really know what you're going to get from a big. I just think especially young bigs are so inconsistent, and it takes them a longer time in their career to really get popping.
This draft is so amazingly deep. I think that if that's the deal, that's so sweetened for Toronto.
Exactly.
Especially since they already have the 4th overall pick too.
Exactly. So if you get,
you're also giving sorry, Matt. I want you to keep going, but for Ja, obviously Siakam's a champion. You're giving themselves he's an all-star champion. You're giving Golden State pretty much, a run to the top 2 next year, and you want something in return.
That's true.
I just kind of look at it as, well, I don't know if they'd go to the top 2, Brandon, because if they take Siakam, just contract-wise, they would have to flip Wiggins. So he kind of just...
They're going to look for a big, though, because they're going to need someone at center now.
Okay, yeah, so now they even need a center. So you get Siakam to play
but it's Curry single-handedly almost, you know what I mean?
They need to make the playoffs this year, so no, not really.
He was 2 points away from the Bud Light.
Curry almost did.
From the play-in tournament against LeBron James.
Dude, if Curry, if Steph won that and he got the 8th spot, he would have went home in the first round.
Which
but he have Clay or Siakam. And his head.
But I'm telling you that Siakam would just replace Wiggins, and they would trade Wiggins. And they would try to get a big. That it's still not a complete puzzle, and they don't have Iguodala. Draymond Green's not the same player, regardless of what anyone says. So I'm saying you can't put them into the finals just like that. with Booker, with the Lakers coming back.
Right.
And you don't know where Dame's going. So I wouldn't put them in the final that easy. But back to Toronto, I think when you look at this rebuild, you already have Gary Trent Jr., who I really like, who would be definitely a good guard for our team for the next 10 years. And now you get Wiseman, who's a big. So you have a guard, and now you have a big, and you pick 4 and 7. Those could be your 4 out of your 5 starters for the next 10 years. If I'm the Raptors, I can't not do that trade. Like you have 2 guards.
At 4 and 7, who are you looking at? Jalen Suggs and what? Maybe is it Davion Mitchell from Baylor?
Maybe Mitchell will be picked before 7. I don't know, man. I just think
Barnes is a potential top pick in that area because hopefully he might be top fit, but it's gonna get juggled around, and hopefully we get that point guard either if it's Green or Suggs, because I don't think Mobley would be the one that could fit in with us at the moment.
I like Suggs at 4.
We will get Suggs at 4. I think I think if I'm the Raptors, I would definitely embrace this rebuild because like you see teams in all professional sports, they don't want to rebuild, but then they end up rebuilding on purpose just because they're bad. You know what I mean? And I think that could be the Raptors. The NBA is get stars as quick as possible and stay irrelevant. And I hate to be mean to the Raptors, but if you hold on to the core too much of Van Vliet, of Siakam, of Lowry, you put yourself at a disservice. Like, for an example, if Lowry doesn't want to do a sign and trade and just goes to the market, we didn't get anything for him when at the deadline we could have got Duncan Robinson. You know what I mean? So even Lowry's so much better than Duncan Robinson, but it's a guy from Miami that you can get to your new core. So I think if I'm the Raptors and I'm a side, I got to start juggling. And I just think they need a fresh look going into the next thing. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they were in Tampa. Maybe they would have made the play-in. And this play-in, which I hated so much, is it gives teams a false sense of hope. Like if your argument as a GM and a coach to the owner is, oh yeah, but we lost in the play-in, we could have played in. The play-in gets you 7 and 8. Usually, no matter what, if you finish 7 and 8, you're supposed to lose to 1 and 2. Especially in the NBA. It's very rare that doesn't happen. So if I'm an owner, I'm not taking this play-in bullshit. I'm not taking this, oh, we never fan stuff. Like I just think that's kind of people making an excuse. You have a problem. You have to address the problem, and I think Wiseman gets you the big that you've been looking for. You have to capitalize on it as soon as possible, and I hope Masai does it. And if it's true, he turned down Siakam for Wiseman in the 7th, I think he's an idiot. Not overall, but that in that particular trade.
I think we're all on the same page there.
Yeah.
But, So one more basketball question, and this is kind of a fun one. I'm looking to get a basketball jersey, and I want to get it for like basketball players that have stood out to me because they've been like shit disturbers. So I'm either looking at getting a Trae Young jersey or a Damian Lillard jersey. Which one should I get?
Well, probably not Dame because he could get traded. So if Dame
gets like once he's on his new team.
Okay, if once he's on his new team, I would say Dame, not Trae Young, just because like, dude, if you wear a Trae Young jersey, like I think you should expect to get attacked.
But the bow at half court was so good.
I guess, but like
that's what
he's a shit disturber. Yeah, I know.
Dave hit that shot and then pretty much walked off and then waved goodbye to the other team. I fucking love that. And then the bow at half court in New York was fantastic as well.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I get the Trae Young jersey. I mean, I know you like Damian Lillard, but Damian Lillard is a top tier known superstar. I think if you can hop on the Trae Young, it's not early, but you have this jersey now, you might be going somewhere further down with it. I don't know. I'm never too sure if Damian Lillard's going to end up with the ring. And if you have a Lakers Damian Lillard jersey, I don't know if I'll respect you.
I would respect you.
I don't think I would wear a Lakers jersey.
Josh, this is what you do. If you get Trae Young, you're buying low and selling high. You know what I mean? So like that's a jersey you can wear for the next 15 years. If you wear a Dame jersey, Dame's 31, 32. You're only going to have that for 4 years. So if you want the best aspect on your money, I say you pick a young guy like Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, Trae Young, Luka Doncic. Yeah, don't get a Boston jersey. But I'm just naming young guys in general. Maybe I should wait for the Raptors to draft Jalen Suggs and just get a Suggs jersey. I saw a Booker jersey with Booker's number, but it had Jenner as the name bar. So because he's dating Kendall. And I thought that was so funny. But like someone said on Twitter, and it's true, like, are you trolling him or are you a Suns fan? He's wearing a Suns jersey, but it's his girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians? Like, I think that could be taken in many different ways. Like, is that throwing... asking us if we watched it? No, I'm asking the guy. Like, I think that's, I'm taking it as a compliment because you bought the team jersey, so you're giving money to the organization. But at the same time, you'd be throwing shade because his girlfriend's like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, is he throwing shade or is that a compliment? I think it's just some guy thinking he's funny. It's like the people that buy Leafs jerseys and then put 67 and
like lost since on the like you just donated $300 to the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I think that's such a waste of money, especially like I don't know how expensive it is to change the name bar, but like you said, Josh, it's like, dude, like donate that to a charity. Like you're not funny. Like there's something wrong with you.
Seek help.
All
Okay,
right.
so let's switch over to hockey. And 2 nights ago, we had the Tampa Bay Lightning capture their second consecutive Stanley Cup with a 1-0 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Let's talk about the game real quick because I think we all know that it was supposed to end this way. But then maybe we talk about the after. There are a couple things that happened post-game. One of them at the press conference and one of them online where Habs fans were just absolutely clawing at something to blame it on. So, Matt, what did you think of the of Game 5?
Yeah, Josh, I just think it's such a stupid hockey take that people have problems with all the stuff that Kucherov said or just Tampa said.
We're not there yet.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I just kind of look at the game and I just think we all knew Tampa was going to win. Vasilevskiy played really good. I'm actually shocked, to be honest with you, how good he played the last couple of games.
Hang on, I need to call you out on something here, Matt.
No, I'm explaining. Let me talk. I know what you're going to say. When I said, to people that didn't know, I told Josh privately or on an episode that didn't get uploaded, I told him that it would go to Point and Kucherov. But the last 2 games were played. Yeah, the game 4 and 5 were played when that happened. And I think Vasilevskiy.
No, just Game 5.
No, it was 2 games.
It was just 1 game.
Okay, well, if the Stanley Cup clinchy game, if the goalie gets a shutout, I think they're going to give him the Conn Smythe. Especially, and I didn't think about this, and this is another hockey thing that pisses me off. The way they give awards is more for legacy and nothing else. For example, I think Vasilevskiy in the regular season was better than Fleury for the Vezina. They gave it to Fleury, so I think the writers feel bad. So like, oh, let's just give Vasilevskiy the Conn Smythe. It's the same thing whenever Crosby won a cup. Oh, just give him the Conn Smythe. Like, I just kind of think, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think they think about storylines and all that shit. It's, no, who's the best? Give it to the best guy. And in my opinion, I still would have gave it to Kucherov there.
He said, yeah. Josh, what's your...
I asked about the game, so I'll just say I thought the game was good.
Thanks, Josh.
As soon as Tampa scored, Montreal pushed hard, and Tampa just played Montreal's game just with better players. They were like, okay, you want to bang and grind in the corners, we can do that. But we're going to do it with more skill, more speed, more hockey IQ, and they were just able to do that. Montreal wasn't really able to break through. Vasilevskiy stood on his head, won the Conn Smythe like I predicted. And then,
Okay, shut up. No, you spitballed name, and he was just
one
of the first and second
names.
You said Vasilevskiy. You named everybody. That's why I was making fun of you.
Yeah, all right. And then, and Tampa Bay, lift the cup for the second time in, under 12 months, which is actually kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, I was going to think about that as well. Like, it's almost been like they raised it in maybe the quickest time ever back to back.
Yeah.
In terms of days and months. So that's just as impressive. Obviously, some of your best players had a longer rest than others. But speaking of that player, he just signed a new endorsement deal with Bud Light, apparently.
Yes. Nikita Kucherov, I haven't read the details. I just saw it come up on my phone, has signed an endorsement deal with Bud Light. So I guess he'll be a spokesperson or a mascot or something. And this all stems from his post-cup press conference,
let me read you the Bud Light tweet. Sorry, Josh.
Go ahead.
He says, the tweet from Bud Light pictures him chugging a beer shirtless, saying he may not have a shirt, but he's got a contract with us. Welcome to the team, Kucherov. There will be no press conferences for this announcement.
There you have it. Another blue and white team has Kucherov. But, did you also see that other deal that a beer company's doing? Coors Light are brewing beer with water from the Amalie Arena.
Ice from the ice.
Yeah.
Shavings from the ice.
Why didn't they call it Coors Lightning?
I don't know,
because the Habs fans won't drink it.
Maybe they need you on their marketing team.
I don't want it. I hate Coors Light. Anyway, let's get back to what Kucherov said. So he did like a 20-minute press conference where he went up there, no shirt on, Bud Light in hand, slamming them back and forth. He maybe had some vodka in the back because that didn't look like he'd had a couple beers. The things he said, though, I thought they were entertaining and hilarious. Habs fans did not. A couple of things he said Vasilevskiy deserved the Vezina, but instead they gave it to that guy in Vegas.
That's true.
He called out Habs fans saying that, their Stanley Cup final was the round before, and that they were, I forget the word he used, pretty much immature for celebrating one game like they won the Stanley Cup.
That's also true.
He was spitting facts. He was going for heads. And like he was saying the microphone was terrible. There was something where he said number one bullshit. I don't even know what reference that was to, but what did you guys think of this? Because I thought it was absolutely amazing. And I feel like the only people that had a problem with it were Habs fans grasping at straws to dunk on the Lightning.
Well, I mean, first of all, I know you're tapped into the fan world, Josh, and like I don't understand why they're upset. So can you explain like they thought they would beat Tampa? Like I don't
Can
you explain to me? You don't understand. You don't know either?
I do not understand where they're coming from. Like if you win a Stanley Cup and you go back to the dressing room, the first
you can make fun of that team forever.
You can do whatever you want until the next cup is handed out.
Yeah.
Montreal fans would have done the same. You're telling me if Montreal had come back and won in Game 7, they wouldn't be the biggest, most annoying pieces of shit in the world? They would have. They would be like, Philip Deneau outscored Matthews and Scheifele and fucking Mark Stone and this other guy. They would have been all over it. They would have said Carey Price is a god. But no. Instead, they were like, oh, no, Kucherov made fun of us. Grow a pair. Like, get over it.
Okay, so just to go off what you said, I think Carey Price did play good. But I agree with you that like people just need to relax in terms of what their expectations were for the team. And I think if you're a hockey fan, I don't care how far you get in the playoffs, you have to look at everything rationally. For an example, is my team the favorite? Do we have the best players? This, that. Were we even expected to be here? Like you have to look at all that stuff.
No.
If I'm Montreal, how is this not an unsuccessful? This is a very successful season. Like literally, like you weren't supposed to be here. Vegas played like dog shit. You destroyed every team in Canada. Like, I don't know what more you want. But one thing I'll say about Montreal is if you look at their cap friendly and like their contracts, Deneau needs an extension. Kotkaniemi needs an extension. They have some big contracts up that, no offense to Bergevin, but if they, for an example, trade some guys and they give Deneau a crazy contract, like I think it's very likely that Montreal doesn't even make the playoffs next year. Like I know that's heated and Montreal fans would be upset, but when you look at the division going back to normal, you have Tampa, Boston, Florida, Toronto, and Montreal. And I just think the East is going to be really good because the Rangers are getting better. The Islanders are always there for some unknown reason. Pittsburgh, Washington, that like, no offense to Montreal, but I think if you ask people to say who's in the playoffs, a lot of people would have Montreal on the outside looking in. Because Josh, like you said, Carey Price is different in an 82-game season than he is in the playoffs because 82 games, he has to play 70. Well, they have Jake Allen, but they might lose him in the expansion draft. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, Montreal isn't built. Like, they don't have a scorer who can get 90 points. Like, they're not built for an 82-game marathon. They're built for a Stanley Cup final sprint. So, to be honest, I don't see Montreal going to make the playoffs next year. I think they're an absolute joke for celebrating the way they did. And, like I don't know. Like, I just think they're the most annoying fan base. I think them and the Dallas Cowboys, because no matter what, they always think they're going to win. They always think their players are the best. And the amount of hype that like Petrie, Weber, Deneau, and all these guys get, I would have thought they won God knows what. Like they honestly, like someone tweeted last night, should Nick Suzuki be on Team Canada?
No, you should
It's
not.
like, what the, I hate Montreal. I honestly do. I hate fan bases that don't know what's happening. Montreal doesn't live in reality. The Cowboys don't really live in reality. There's some sports teams, man, that just piss me off.
That's coming for the heads today. What did you think of Kucherov's comments, Brandon?
I gave Josh a Lightning jersey a couple months back. I was a Lightning fan when it was hard to be a Leafs fan. I do support Stamkos, and I do like. It wasn't like a stand.
It's not exactly easy to be a Leafs fan right now either.
Exactly. Waiting to this was before Matthews. I was wearing the Tampa Bay jerseys, just going into the ACC to get a cheap game to watch Kucherov and Stamkos. However, that's definitely changed. It's nice to me. I'm not, obviously, like I said, I wasn't glued to the TV waiting for the buzzer to go down, go crazy when the Tampa Bay Lightning won. However, when I saw him kind of rubbing it in, it made me feel better, obviously, as a Leafs fan, seeing the Habs get obviously a little bit disoriented from that happening because obviously it was essentially a junior A team playing a double A team. It wasn't really even close of a competition. Unfortunately, the double A's goalie was a junior A goalie who got cut from the Lightning or something like that because he was just incredible. And that was only the series that had them, and they couldn't score goals against Vasilevskiy. And, my only takeaway, honestly, from Kucherov's comments is that he is not as in shape as I nearly thought a hockey player of his size and strength and maybe speed would be, because he was looking like he just sat on the couch for the entire regular season. Obviously, he was injured, but he came back in the playoffs. I know that, but like he didn't even get out and go for a run because he was eating the potato chips. He's looking a little bit over, not like a couple of the hockey players I've seen that are especially not even close to being as good as he is.
I think most hockey players, I know this is going to pitch you guys a lot, but the majority of people who play hockey don't have an athletic build. Phil Kessel, Ovi, McDavid, Matthews, like they don't look like Marner, Patrick Kane. If I saw a hockey player, I wouldn't guess they're professional athletes. It's just the truth.
You just think they were like kind of in shape guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of funny, but like I think it's even more cool because that's how coordinated they are. That's how good on their edges are. That's a different type of athleticism. Like Josh, if you know what I mean, like your lower body is insane. You're kind of built like a running back in football, but only the bottom half and not the top half. So I think it's very unique as a sport. And I think it's more just saying like, everyone can play it. Like Gallagher and Gaudreau are like 5'5", like, and then you have Char who's 6'9". Like, I think it's so cool that you have people in different athletic shapes, I'll say. Like you have like Tyler Seguin versus like Phil Kessel. Like, I think it's so funny.
Yeah,
very funny.
You're right. Tyler Seguin is usually the type of hockey player I think of. He's a little bit more defined and in shape and working out. And Wayne Simmons is one of those players who works out a lot, but he's just kind of got a fast body. However, even if you don't have the right size and you're not big enough to fill up the net, I think it's funny that Andre Vasilevskiy was essentially wearing twice as amount of equipment as Carey Price was.
No, he wasn't.
It just was quite entertaining to see people blow up the image of them shaking hands because you're putting Andre Vasilevskiy's chest pads triple the size, and that was a big argument. So that was funny to me.
I just thought the highlight of that was it was fans who didn't want the Lightning to win. They were saying like, oh, well, they were 18 million over the cap, and when that didn't work, they go, oh, Kucherov's classless, and then they dug to the lowest depths of the barrel, and they were like, oh, Vasilevskiy's equipment was illegal. You don't think through 20 playoff games somebody would have caught that?
Yeah, they're coming down to it.
I don't know what the rules are, though, Josh. Like, obviously, you can't wear, like, crazy equipment. But, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do they measure it?
It was the camera angle.
So it wasn't – it looked – okay. Yeah. Okay.
No, like, people were just being dumb. Because he looks ginormous compared to Carey Price in that photo. But Price is further away from the camera.
Okay. Just making sure. I'm just saying, Vasilevskiy played really good. You never know.
He did. Like, you know what? Like, I don't think Habs fans are considering this. Maybe their forwards just weren't good enough to put the puck in the net.
You tweeted that, right? That was funny. Good tweet. Follow Coach Josh on Twitter. Anyways, so I want to read some facts to you guys because we talked about this privately. Well, we talked about this privately. The ratings for the Stanley Cup Final. So let me read the U.S. TV numbers from games 1 to 4. Game 5, they're still doing. Game 1, this is in the United States. Game 1 on NBC had 1.5 million. Game 2, 1.6 million. Game 3, 2.3 million. Game 4, 2.9 million. And that's down because usually it's 4 or 5 million just in the States alone. Yeah. So my question is, do Americans not want to watch when there's a Canadian team involved?
Well, my counteraction here would be you don't have two major American markets in that final. Like it's not a Chicago versus Boston. It's not a,
I agree. But
yes, the answer to your question is yes. Like another American team, I'm sure it would be another American state that was heavily watching.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those numbers
actually Canadian means not that many Americans would want to tune in to see the Canadians play.
Yeah, those numbers are not good. At all.
I think also maybe it's just because it wasn't very competitive. Like I think that has to do with some people. Like I was thinking to myself, just like how much did I watch? And I think usually at Stanley Cup Final I watch all of it, but I think twice I missed the first period or I missed part of the set. Like you know what I mean? And I'm like probably like would you say I'm a hardcore hockey fan, Josh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I'm not even running to my chair to watch it. I don't expect just a casual sports fan to tune in and watch it. So I don't know, man. I think us as Canadians, I don't want to say take a look in the mirror, but I say stop hyping up like the Ottawa and Winnipeg. Because like one of the tweets I saw was a guy in Winnipeg saying, oh, if Winnipeg beat Montreal made to the final, the numbers would do so much better because Winnipeg
did worse.
That's what I thought, but apparently Johnny in Winnipeg doesn't think so. So I just think Canadian markets need to fuck off And I want to see
at least like Montreal, you could point out on a map. People in the States would be like, where the hell is Winnipeg?
Well, French Canadians, like most people know Canadians as French Canadians. That's literally Montreal, Quebec. So I think the two biggest Canadian markets are probably Toronto, then Montreal, and then Vancouver. Would you agree with that maybe?
Yeah, Vancouver, Edmonton.
You could switch up those two, yeah.
Well, I think because Vancouver's so close to the States, remember the reason why Seattle's getting teams is everyone from Seattle would come to Vancouver, and that boosted their ticket sales. I didn't even know that, but apparently that's the story. Oh. So, we can move on, but I just think those are interesting facts. You guys have anything else to say about that? Or
not about that, seriously. I just want to say one thing about this Lightning team is they are not going to look the same next year because they will have to be broken up because they are currently, I think, 20 mil over the cap with only 15 players signed. So it's like team's going to look really different. And apparently, like, I've been hearing this, the move to make the easiest one would
Please don't say it.
All right, I won't say it.
Okay, don't fine, say it. It's funny.
Would be Stamkos on the way out.
That's not true. One, because he's the captain, he has a no move. But
so does everybody else on that team.
No, they have modified no trades. There's a difference. Like I saw Andre Palat. Andre Palat has a 15-team trade list, and people said that's no trade. If you can pick 15 teams in the NHL to go to, your GM should make that work. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's a lot harder for a guy like Stamkos who's been there since he's 18. He's one of your best players. He's won the Rocket. He's done all this stuff for Tampa community. Just say, yo, Stammer, pack up. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? And I saw some other shows, I won't name them, but said, oh, I didn't even notice what Steven Stamkos was doing. And I'm like, okay, I hate to be rude, but he got a point a game. He was amazing on the power play. I saw him block shots. So for you to say Steven Stamkos isn't a good NHL player, when the team you cheer for, he would be the best player on your team, compete the hardest, I think it's stupid to say. And I'm just so tired of this clickbait. People are just saying outrageous stuff. I know in the podcast world right now.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And when I heard them say that, I wanted to throw my phone against the wall.
No, let's go off because I think the whole point of our podcast, I think Josh said the best, is we try to change the sports media outlook. And I just think so many people are saying outrageous things that make no sense at all. I don't know if it's to get clicks or Josh, maybe you know more because you learned about this in school. But I just, whatever. I just think it's outrageous. And I just think people need to relax a little bit. Like, let's go back to the Leafs. I don't give a fuck. Like the whole trade Martin, it's like, hey, what do you want to trade him for? And then you just hear quiet. And I'm like, at least come up with a stupid trade proposal. Like, if you just say trade this guy. It's like, we wouldn't have anybody left. Because remember, they wanted to trade Nylander. Remember that was the thing, trade Nylander. They want to trade Marner. And now they want to trade Riley. And they want to not re-sign Anderson. Like, Josh, you going to play for the team? Or like, who? Like, what's happening?
My new favorite thing is that they're going to protect Dermott over Hall.
Oh, my Lord.
I heard that one this morning. Almost crashed the fucking car.
Yo, you want to go into the Dermott contract right now?
Let's do it. Let's move on.
Okay, yeah. I just kind of think when you have a defenseman who's in and out of the lineup on a consistent basis, and Sandin took his spot, Bogosian took his spot, and the only reason he got in was because of injuries, and you try to make him play the left side, the right side, I don't see Travis Dermott being anything more than a depth defenseman at the NHL level at this point of his career. Maybe he'll prove me wrong and he'll get a spot, but I haven't seen enough to be like, yeah, you're going to grow into a top 4 defenseman. Yeah, you're going to grow into a top 6 defenseman. So why the fuck are we giving him a $1.5 million contract when he has to battle for a top 6 spot? Like, he could be a healthy scratch next year and I wouldn't be surprised. So Dubas, like, I don't know if you remember the Pierre Engvall contract, but in my opinion, you signed another one. A guy who played a little bit of good hockey, but they haven't earned it to call themselves a Toronto Maple Leaf NHL player for 82 games. And you just gave him a $1.5 million contract. And I'd rather give that to Bogosian. Would not rather give that to Hyman. Would not rather give that to a Barclay Goodrow who's about to hit the free agency. Like, I'm so upset that they did that. And I saw the one excuse people said is, for expansion. I'm like, you couldn't extend Ben Hutton for $700,000 and then hit your expansion requirement. Like, why are you giving a guy 2 years, 1.5, when in reality he shouldn't be in your lineup? Because Sandin should pass him in the next 2 years. Lindgren should pass him in the next 2 years. And we already have Riley, Muzzin, Brody, and Hull. Like, Josh, I don't understand this contract whatsoever. Would you like to give your take?
I thought it was a little bit of tidy business, but then I thought about it a little bit. I'm like, well, how did he get that raise? He wasn't fantastic last year. Like, I thought he was good, but I didn't think. I mean, if he turns out to be the player we think he could be, because he is only 24.
Yeah, but Josh, sorry to cut you off, but I think as Toronto Maple Leaf fans and management, we've said that about so many
I know, but like, I'm trying to take the other side of the argument.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, but you agree with what I'm saying. Like,
you did, and I can't see. Yeah. 1.5. Like the only reason I can see, one of the reasons they did sign him is that so they qualify, like they're eligible for the expansion draft. So does Seattle take Dermott? I don't know. Like if
I hope to God they do.
If Kerfoot's available, I'm taking Kerfoot. I don't know about you, Brandon. Like, would you rather take Kerfoot or Dermott?
I think Matt's right. I would take Dermott. I mean, in that situation, obviously, if you're choosing one from the Maple Leafs, it's whatever. Unfortunately, no unfortunately's, but in relation to you choosing your jersey and Damian Lillard and Trae Young, like Kerfoot's aging out, and obviously he's more of a role player that's not going to play up and down your lineup too often, third or fourth at best. And you got Dermott, who's top 4 potential at best. And he's young and he's got potential, and he's played with a cultured team and he's played in the large market, and I think he can bring a good experience to a bit of leadership on the young end if you draft some of your Seattle Kraken straight out of the draft.
So let me ask you this then. Who are you protecting? Are you protecting Dermott or Justin Hall?
Justin Hall. That's all I have to say.
Like, I think that's the only answer. I don't know. He's a definite top 4. I don't know why you would.
So it's why you give an extension to a guy that you're gonna expose. And I just want to say, would you rather?
Because you had to, right?
No, but Josh, I'm telling you, you could sign fuck knows AHL player. The only requirement is I think you need 80 NHL games. Ben Hutton has that. I'd rather give Ben Hutton 1 year, a 2-way contract for $700,000, and he counts now. You know what I mean? Like, why am I giving someone 1.5? Like, I could get a guy for $700,000. I could sign a guy from Europe who's played, like Michael Dosado in Europe. Like, it doesn't matter. But I want to ask you a question, because I think the whole strategy with paying your top guys so much is they're good players, and you're gonna spend the other parts of your roster really good. Like, you're gonna find the Campbell, who's a starting goalie, at 1.5. You're gonna find Justin Holl for only $2 million. So my question is, would you rather have in the Leafs scenario, would you rather have Kerfoot, Engvall, or Dermott, or would you rather have $6.2 million? That's what they're making, and those are the players. So would you rather have those 3 players? I'll repeat: Kerfoot, Engvall, or Dermott? Or would you rather have $6.2 million? I'd rather have $6.2 million.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I mean, but who are you? I guess it depends who's available too, right? Like.
Dude, I could literally get probably Taylor Hall, Dumba. I could get so much for $6.2 million.
But then you got to fill 2 more spots.
But I think I could find 2 guys for $700,000 that are better than Engvall and fucking Dermott.
Oh, great! So we're gonna get 2 more Joe Thorntons.
No, dude, I could find a $700,000 guy who's 25, 26, who just like. For an example, I think Carter Verhaeghe makes $1 million and he got 50 points this year. I think Duclair makes 1.7. I think Nola Chari. I think Nola Chari makes $700,000. Even Simmons makes $900,000. Bogosian only made 1.5. Like, there's so many bargains in the I think Kaloran only makes 4.5. Like, there's so many bargains in the league, but Toronto just has none of them. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think if I'm Dubas, you signed all 3 of those contracts, and now you're complaining about the cap. Well, it's like, dude, from a certain point, you got to look in the mirror and say, look, I know we're paying the guys this top half, but we shouldn't be paying everyone else this bullshit. You know what I'm trying to say? Asset management as a whole.
I agree with you there. We could go on about this for hours, but Matt, you do have a couple other trades you want to bring up. Then let's start to wrap up because we are going on quite a bit here.
Yeah, so there's just some trade rumors. So we'll get to the 3 with Tarasenko, Jones, and Eichel. We'll start with Eichel first because it's the most juiciest. So obviously Jack Eichel, they're saying his injury saga is coming to an end, but that's mostly because he's going to get traded. And the teams I've been hearing, maybe you guys can add some more, is Vegas, LA, Anaheim, Philadelphia, the Blue Jackets, and the Rangers. Did I get all of them, or have you guys heard some other teams?
I think you got to throw Seattle in there.
Oh yeah, also Seattle. So basically, if you're Buffalo, what trade package would you be looking for, and what team should be most aggressive in the Jack Eichel trade rumors? Josh, you want to go first?
I can tell you who I don't think it will be. I don't think it'll be Seattle, and I don't think it will be Anaheim. Anaheim just doesn't have the stuff. The stuff that they give up would damage the movement they want to make in the future. Because if you bring in a guy like Jack Eichel, you're starting to look to win in the next 3 to 5 years. If they, who's going back the other way? Like, it probably starts with what? Trevor Zegras? You're gonna want to keep him, and then they go, okay, well, we don't want to give up a forward, so give us a defenseman. It's like, okay, then we'll take Jamie Drysdale. Well, I don't want to give up him either.
Cam Fowler.
So, yeah, Cam Fowler. But that could be a start.
Why would I want him? Yeah.
But that could be a start for Buffalo, right? Because they could, that maybe you could work something out with Cam Fowler, and I don't know. But Anaheim's going to damage their future with that. I think the most reasonable fit, you're probably looking at LA.
But I read that LA doesn't want to give up Quentin Byfield, and it's like, you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like
you don't give up Byfield. You don't give up Byfield for Eichel.
I hope it's not the Rangers or the Blue Jackets. I think the most exciting one would be something to Philadelphia or Vegas, but I don't know what Vegas would have to give in return, and I don't know how that would make them more competitive because they're a deep team as is. And what do you do? What does that add? Just Eichel to them. What does that add? What do you get rid of?
I have some notes here. I think Vegas, apparently the package would go around Alex Tuck, Cody Glass, Nicholas Hague, who I think played for the Steelheads, and a picks. So Vegas does have stuff.
Very reasonable, actually.
That's not bad. The only thing I have with that is Vegas is picking 29th.
Well, Josh, it's multiple. Okay, let's say, Josh, I'll be the GM for Vegas. You'll be the GM of Buffalo. I'll give you Riley Smith.
Great, so now I'm an idiot.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, so I'll give you Riley Smith, Alex Tuck, Peyton Krebs, Cody Glass, Nicholas Hague, and 2 first-rounders for Jack Eichel. That's a lot.
What's LA offering? Like, what are these other teams offering?
If I'm LA, I'll give you Turcotte, Akil Thomas, Tobias Borgfoot, Dustin Brown's contract, and my 8th overall pick.
Take Dustin Brown.
On Buffalo, I'm looking at that pick going. I could do a lot with the 1st and the 8th.
Yeah, I think draft picks. But would you rather have an 8th or 2 picks in the 20s?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
I think
can I throw a dark horse team in here?
Yeah.
Calgary.
Oh Jesus. Calgary needs to do so much before they try to get Eichel.
Monahan going to Buffalo.
Monahan and Gaudreau for Eichel.
No, just Monahan and another piece, not both.
But the problem that people need to understand is if I'm Buffalo, I want assets 18 to 22. If I bring in a 26, 27-year-old guy, they're just going to leave in free agency in a few years. If I'm Buffalo, this is the start of a 3-year rebuild. I don't need any NHL players, as stupid as that sounds.
So that's why you take guys on expiring contracts. Monahan and Gaudreau, I think they're up pretty soon, are they not?
Yeah, but then I'm going to have to flip them, so I'm making more trades. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
No, you're just trading for cap space at that point if you're going to rebuild.
No, but I'm saying get rid of Eichel's $10 million, and that's cap space to start. Like, why? Like, cut out the middleman. Why do I need Gaudreau and Monahan? If I'm trading Eichel, I want 4 draft picks and 4 prospects.
Because unfortunately, Matt, you still do have to ice a team next year.
Yeah, you need a guy who can play.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. That's when you get the Michael Del Zottos and Travis Dermott of the world.
No, dude, you're Travis Dermott out of this.
The plan is to go 0-82 if I'm Buffalo. Am I incorrect? Is that not the game plan?
But like kind of like how Toronto did it.
No, dude, fuck that. Toronto was different because they only did do that for 1 year. Then Marner came, Nylander came, and Matthews came. If I'm Buffalo, this is a 3-year 0-82, 1-81, 2-80. That's the type of stuff we're going for here.
I'm sure the fans of Buffalo would be thrilled to hear about that. All right.
No, but you could turn it into a bit. Like, show up with Shane Wright jerseys already. Show up with Owen Power jerseys. Like, you know when Buffalo played Arizona from the David sweepstakes, they were cheering for their team to lose. Like, I know that's not good for the game, but I think that's funny just for pure entertainment. Like, if I'm Buffalo, this is a gong show. Like I think, like, this is when you know your team is bad. I saw a Buffalo guy tweet, in 2 years, I want to be where Ottawa's at. That's how you know it's a sad situation when that's what you're striving for in 2 years. This is where Buffalo's at. So we can talk about Buffalo forever, but moving on to Seth Jones. I've only heard 4 teams, so maybe Josh could throw in a dark horse, but Seth Jones trading to Chicago, Philadelphia, Colorado, and Dallas. And I think Colorado and Dallas are interested because they think they could get in the sign and trade, because when his dad, Popeye Jones, played in the NBA, he grew up in those 2 cities. So I think they're thinking of signing him long term. So just what do you think? So Seth Jones, Blackhawks, Flyers, Avs, and Dallas. Josh, you want to go first?
I think it's going to be the Avalanche, and I have absolutely no idea why, because they have Mikhail McCart anyway. Yeah. The Avalanche going after Seth Jones is kind of silly. Yeah, I don't know where. That's the most least interesting trade that's ever been brought up this season.
I don't know. I think maybe with Jonathan Taves coming back and Patrick Kane having a resurgence, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to Chicago.
And Duncan Keith on the way out.
Yeah, for a push.
This is Stan Bowman's logic, which I think is really funny. They want to trade Duncan Keith for Caleb Jones' brother, so when they acquire Seth Jones, he'll sign an extension. And I'm just like, okay, I guess, but like, no offense to Caleb Jones, but I think if you're Seth Jones, you're an elite player, at least an all-star. I know people debate if he's an elite player or not, but I would say at least an all-star. I think that's fair enough. If I'm an all-star player who could go to free agency and make a shit ton of money, I don't really care who my little brother plays, and he could be not in the NHL in 2 years. So, like, Josh, if you're in Seth Jones' situation, do you really give a fuck that I have Abe and Isaac on my hockey team?
No, I don't. I would actually move as far away from that team as I can. I'd go play in
Exactly,
the other.
but my team that I think Seth Jones is going to do is Dallas. And I look at Dallas. We have Tyler Seguin, who was hurt, Jamie Benn, Klingberg, Hudobin. All my guys are kind of older. So I'm willing to trade Jason Robertson, who's I think he came second or third in the calendar. I'm willing to put him in the deal for Seth Jones just because my window is guys aged 27 to about 31 maybe with Ben in them. So if I'm Dallas, I'm throwing all my draft picks and all my young guys to get Jones and extend him. So I think it makes sense for Dallas to actually be in these sweepstakes.
Go ahead, Brandon. I'll throw my dark horse in at the end just to watch.
Oh, no. I was about to hit a transition. So you let me, I can swing it away.
Dark horse, Minnesota Wild. Okay, Brandon, do you?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, sweepstakes also for Vladimir Tarasenko here. So what do we have? What's the news?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot to add the teams. But basically, Vladimir Tarasenko, there was
everyone's in on Tarasenko.
Okay, yeah. Let me paint the picture. So, anyways, sorry. Anyways, so Vladimir Tarasenko, he's only played 30 regular season games the last 2 years, but I think this is important. He played all the playoffs. So what I would say to that is he's not healthy enough to play regular season, but as soon as playoffs, he pulls a Kucherov. The Russians are always ready to go come playoff time. I love it. So, anyways. So they have the injury aspect. He has 2 years left at 7.5. He has a no trade, but he said he would waive it just because 2 years in any city, I don't really think he would care. And he was also upset when Ryan O'Reilly got the captaincy because he's been there longer and he thought he would get the captaincy. And the teams that I'm hearing is Edmonton, Vancouver, I don't know how, but Calgary, and Carolina, and
Edmonton,
Boston.
That'd be very nice to see something.
Him with McDavid would be sick.
A power play, something to finally give that team a life.
It's not enough, but it would be sick.
No. Edmonton needs two Tarasenkos. They need a Patron. Edmonton's a little bit way.
Carolina, I don't know if that's the piece they need because they might lose the depth. Is that a trade? Yeah, it's a trade. So they might lose the depth from it, right? And Carolina's a deep team.
Yeah.
Well, but you get a guy who could probably score 30 to 40 goals.
Isn't Dougie Hamilton on the way out?
He's a free agent, yeah. They're still trying to work on deals there.
They need to trade him.
I like of all the teams you listed there, Matt, I like Vancouver the best because I think Jim Benning is a big enough idiot to trade away his future for that.
That would be a horrible place to see him go. His career would die there.
You know what, though? Everyone keeps saying this team's bad. Like, I saw some people say Edmonton's bad, but I think when you get a guy as good as Tarasenko, whose best playmaker during his years in St. Louis is Alex Steiner. I don't even know who the fuck it is. When you put him,
Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm just thinking about it.
But also Tarasenko, Pettersson, Besser.
Yeah,
that's pretty disgusting too.
That is pretty good too. With Quinn Hughes on
the
back end.
Goaltending in Montreal. Sorry, you need goaltending in Edmonton first, and I guess you got goaltending in.
You need everything in Edmonton first.
But to attract, a trade offer, I guess.
Okay, let's talk about Edmonton, and then we're going to Matt's debate. So the Edmonton Oilers signed Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to an 8-year deal at 5.1, taking him to age 37. I personally actually don't mind the contract just because – actually, you guys can go first, and I'll say my facts, my opinion.
Wasn't he the first overall pick?
Yeah, correct.
Huge, yeah. He scored the sickest first NHL goal I've ever seen.
I don't mind it, obviously.
That was Jordan Eberle, Josh.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was Eberle. I think, unfortunately, this conversation just revolves around NHL players not getting paid those high amounts as we see in other sports, but it's a good deal for, a player as is in NHL at his caliber. So I don't know. He's good. I think it's positive when you sign your core players who have been drafted and rooted in your system. I think it's something that you need to do to continue to have a strong legacy. You don't want to have a team where you draft first overalls like Taylor Hall and you keep moving him away.
Yeah. No, I didn't mind the deal. I didn't think it was awful. I didn't think it was good. Obviously, when you sign a deal like this, you're not too worried about kind of when the Leafs signed David Clarkson. Dave Notice said, I'm not worried about years 5, 6, and 7. And I think I think Edmonton signed this deal knowing they're probably not going to have to worry about 5, 6, and 7 because that front office probably won't be there at the rate they're going. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. But
I have a debuttal.
I thought the price was fair for his output for the first 4 years of the contract. The back end is going to be a little bit of a concern, but I don't think you'll have a problem moving him at that time.
I agree with Josh so much. Like $5.1 million in today's NHL, I think you could move. Now, I don't want to say fairly easily, but I think you could move. Like Milan Lucic got moved at $5 million. I think Hopkins in years 7 and 8 won't be that bad. So and especially like when I see signing guys to long-term contracts, I look at their mileage. What I mean by that is, did you have a lot of injuries? Have you done a deep playoff run? And when I look at Clarkson, he was hurt so much. He went to the Stanley Cup final the year before, and injuries kind of slowed him down. And I look at Hopkins, he's not really a bang and crash. He doesn't hit anybody. His main elements is his hockey sense and his skating. And I think
you got to call him Nugent Hopkins because you keep saying Hopkins. I'm like, who the fuck is he talking about?
Okay, Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Sorry, whatever. I just kind of think he would actually grow old like fine because like your skating and your hockey sense are kind of the last two things to go. So I think like he would be pretty good. And I think if I'm Edmonton, I don't get free agents anyways. Fuck it. Might as well give him with screw it. I think it's fine. But one Edmonton thing before you get to match.
Hang on. The only thing with this deal is if they don't do anything else, it's like throwing a Band-Aid on a broken dam.
But Josh, people need to understand they actually saved $1 million in cap because his cap hit went down from last year. He's making 6, now he's making 5.
I know, but this cannot be the only move you make. Okay, what's your last Edmonton thing, and let's get Matt debates.
Oh yeah, so they really want Duncan Keith.
Fantastic. Let's move on.
I mean, it sounds like, I don't know if it's going, but he's on his way out. So where else would he go? Sounds like Edmonton's a good position.
How about nowhere?
Yeah, like nobody should be taking Duncan Keith, who's what, 46? What is he actually, 38?
Yeah, I think he's 38. Yeah,
38. It would have to be a trade where Chicago retains and maybe have another team retain again.
But why? Why are we doing all these jump stuff for Duncan Keith?
Because he's not worth it.
No, but I'm saying, why? If you're a GM, why are you doing all your time and assets and brain power for thinking about this move? It's like I said, I think I could find guy in Sweden or guy in Russia or guy in AHL who could be a depth defenseman or maybe play 5 or 6 that could do it just as good as Duncan Keith. And I also hear the leadership. It's like, okay, fuck off. I think Edmonton needs so many other things than worrying about leadership. Like, it's not even funny. Like, honestly, they need a goalie, they need a few stay-at-home defensemen, and they need 3 scoring forwards. And they probably need that's a lot, first of all.
Is Ken Holland a bigger idiot than we thought he was?
Yeah.
Like, no way he trades for Duncan Keith, right?
But, like, I don't know, man. Like, I saw something, even at 50% retained, he would be $2.2 million. And let's play the game. Would you rather have Duncan Keith or $2.2 million? I'd rather have $2.2 million.
I'd rather have a guy that can actually skate backwards.
That too. So I think we're match debates time because I think let's call time and death on Duncan Keith's career. Actually, that was rude. Okay, let's put in a vote. He should go to the Hall of Fame, no? Or at least be maybe.
Yeah. He should go to the Hall of Fame, not the Edmonton Oilers. Let's move on.
Okay, yes. So match
debates.
Go
to the retirement house.
Yes. Retirement home. Anyway.
Debate.
So match debates. Tampa won back-to-back Stanley Cups the first time since Pittsburgh. In 16-17, they won back-to-back. So who would win in a playoff series? Back-to-back Pittsburgh or back-to-back Tampa? Best of 7.
I'll go first. Tampa Bay. I think it would be close. I don't know why the firepower seems different on the offensive zone. Obviously, Crosby and Malkin, Kessel, Hagelin, Bonino, and Gensel. And I think that I said Kessel.
Sorry. I refer to him as Phil.
Fleury and Matt Murray, I don't know if they seem as solid as this guy right now, holding down the net in terms of, I mean, Victor Hedman is the best defenseman on the ice, no matter what. Not even Chris Letang. No one else can out that. Like, I think that's I don't want to even go on too much longer. I think Tampa would do it.
Josh?
Tampa Bay. I just flipped a coin.
Oh. Okay.
It would honestly be so close. Like, I could say Tampa Bay with all their firepower, but in those back-to-back years, nobody was stopping Sidney Crosby. So
and Malkin,
Malkin, like Fleury was.
No, they're gross. I love that. I love when that happen.
It would be a 7-game series for sure.
Every game overtime. Yeah, I think
goaltending.
I would go Tampa, like Brandon says, because like I know everyone says you need 2 goalies to win. You need 2 goalies to win. No, the fuck you do not. Vasilevskiy, you just need great goaltending. I don't care how you get it, but you need great goaltending. Yeah. If that's Vasilevskiy, if that's Price, if that's David Ayers, I don't care. If that's Craig Anderson, whatever floats the boat. But
why did we name David Ayers before Craig Anderson?
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Anyway, yeah. But I just think no matter what, Crosby and Malkin are the 2 best players in every game. Is that a hot take? The way they play, I think they're the 2 best players in every game.
Yeah. Sure.
But the problem is Tampa will punch you in the face.
But even like, Brady's point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. We didn't even mention. Yeah. Okay. 3 Tampas. Okay. Next question. Owen Power has given conflicted remarks on if he wants to go back to school or not. So should Owen Power want to go to the Sabres? And if you're his camp, I guess his dad or age, I don't know. They all say camp. I don't know what that means. That could be like your grandma, like whatever. If you're his camp, should you want to go to the Buffalo Sabres? And if you're Owen Power, what should you do?
Josh's camp is him and Molson.
Yeah, like, I don't know what that means, your camp.
It's like
is that your trainer? Is that what?
Yeah, no, so that would be like his agent, his dad, his mom. Like, yeah, it's just people that may help him support his decision. Right?
Yeah, but Josh, it sounds so dumb that you have a camp. It's like, oh, we have to make a pitch for McDavid's camp. No, but listen. It's a joke.
Stop.
No, it's a joke. It's funny.
Isn't he going to Buffalo maybe again next year anyway if they get fucked over?
Yeah, bro. That would be so funny.
No, Brandon, what he's trying to hope to do here is he's hoping to say he's going back to Michigan so his draft stock drops. So,
but it doesn't. Yeah, well, I'm picking you for the next 20 years, not for the next 1 year.
Yeah, like.
No, but Josh, I just think the camp is so funny. Because remember remember Kawhi's camp? It was his uncle. And it's like, dude, I hate to do this, but like, if I have to bend backwards for your great grandma or something, like, I'm not doing this.
I know, but they say camp because imagine Sportsnet comes on there. It's like on the Leafs of, they've been talking with
Mitch Marner's mom.
Yeah, like they've been talking with Mitch Marner and his best friend Tim. Like, it doesn't sound.
But I think that's more funny. Like, I would put that in the headline. Like, the Leafs really want to get McDavid in free agency in 2028. It's McDavid, his mom, his brother, his dog, his girlfriend. Like, I think that's funny. But anyways, yeah.
So here, let me give the only answer there really should be for this Owen Power question. Do you want to go back to school for a year, or do you want to become an instant multimillionaire? Make your fucking choice.
Oh, but one more thing. Like, I don't know him personally, but I know someone who went to
sign likeness now if he goes back to the NCAA and make money.
Yeah, fuck you, Josh. You forgot about that rule.
I did.
But he'll make more money in the NHL. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
because I think
people are signing $2 million deals at their sophomore years, and I've never even heard of them just because the NCAA.
No, Brandon, I know what you're talking about. That guy's dad is a booster.
I know it's Master P.
It happened. I told you it would happen.
Yeah, Josh actually predicted that. He said somebody's dad just gonna give them money. That's what happened.
Masterpiece has a son. Yeah.
The Bongo store signed a player.
Yeah. Anyways,
Owen Power can still make something for himself, and I wouldn't go to the Sabres and waste my fucking.
Yeah, but I don't know Owen Power personally, but I know people that know him personally, and let's just say he has enough money. That's every hockey family. Like, I don't think they're struggling to make ends meet right now.
He can't avoid Buffalo. He's still going to get drafted by them, but he could just say, okay, I'm just going to go back here for a year, and they'll be like, okay, see you next year.
Yeah, you know what it is? You have 12 months to mentally prepare for Buffalo. That's what it is. You can prepare. He's going to take a class of. Okay. Anyways, next question. Who is the most underrated athlete of all time?
Wow. See, I just started to think about it now.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. I tried to give it to you earlier so you would have thought about it, but I'll just.
No, I have a good answer.
Oh, yeah, I have a good answer. Okay.
Are you going to give it?
I don't know if you guys are ready for it. I don't know.
Brandon, I'm ready for it, buddy.
I think Allen Iverson.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Allen Iverson is completely underrated. Obviously, people know that he never won a championship. He did go to the finals against Kobe and played down to the depths and had defining moments in that. Obviously, he had some troubles with his young childhood growing up, kind of ruined his name coming out of the draft stock and all that. I think that I think if he had a ring, like, I'd be a huge Iverson fan. But since I didn't watch him and he was so disgusting, and I think, like, as a player, he was really good, I'm trying to say. And all I hear from the current NBA players is that Iverson paved the way. Iverson, wore tattoos and wore chains and wore sneakers that you weren't allowed, so that we could wear the sneakers and chains and tattoos and clothes that we're not allowed. I think that, maybe he's not underrated to some people, but personally to me, when I don't think of some of the greatest players to ever do it without a ring in basketball, obviously, Allen Iverson comes to my mind directly. Unfortunately, he never had a chance to do that, but I don't think that means he's not good. But I couldn't think about a hockey one, so Allen Iverson.
I have a hockey one.
I have a hockey one too, and I feel like it's the same.
No, mine's actually pretty sneaky. You go first.
Mark Messier.
Fuck.
No, you're kidding.
No, right? No. The only thing I don't like this argument, because I think it's a Canadian thing, because he was second fiddle on the Edmonton teams. But I don't care what anyone says. The most memorable Mark Messier thing in his career was the Stanley Cup he brought to the New York Rangers. That's just a fact. I don't care what anyone says. He was by himself.
It's the only one I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't argue. I'm not going to argue.
No, sorry, I wasn't arguing. I was just trying. Yeah, I was adding, I guess. Anyways, you want to hear mine?
No. Go ahead, Matt.
Yes, he does.
Okay,
Matt,
okay, sorry. Mine is Joe Sakic. I just think when you talk about so many guys, like Lemieux, Yager, all these guys, I don't know why no one brings up Joe Sakic. He won 2 cups. And, I think people need to understand that he started in the 90s and he finished playing in, 2008. And I think the game changed so much. And, his shot is disgusting. I think everyone should look it up. He basically shot the puck like Austin Matthews did, but in the 90s. I think that's insane. So I'm just going to go with Joe Sakic. And I think in that Colorado-Quebec thing, a lot of players get kind of missed because of the Lindros trade or Quebec going to Colorado and all these things that I think we don't talk enough.
Gosh, I'm surprised you didn't say
Timo
Solani or something.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Timo Solani's a good one. I also have one. Jeff Hardy. He's very underrated. Okay, last one, Matt.
Did you say Tom? Did you say Tom Hardy?
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, this is kind of
not the guy that plays Venom.
Okay, yeah. This is kind of a sappy question, but I think it's kind of cool just because we're students and we're still pretty young. But what advice would you give yourself 5 years ago?
Wow.
Well, I was 19 5 years ago, so
I was graduating high school. I would say I'll go first. I was graduating high school. I'll be 17. I'm 22, so take my time as I did. Obviously, I don't think it's not that I hate these type of questions. Obviously, what's set in stone is what's set in stone. I wish this was realistic. Maybe I could go back and talk to myself. However, it's not, and I'm proud of the way I've grown into the young adult I have. I like the education path I chose. I think that on a personal side, I would have just wanted to chomp at the bit as an athletic individual, maybe be more bulky, maybe be more strong, and maybe that would have taken me further. Other than that, I think just to be more of be more opportunistic, maybe not wait around as longer. I think that. Obviously, if we go 5 years ago and if we know 5 years later that we'd get coronavirus and the world would be shut down and maybe I'd go a little bit harder and this, or maybe I'd plan but I don't think you could ever expect a pandemic. So I don't know. I think it's a good question. I just, I always like to look forward, not necessarily behind. And I think that, but I do have a great answer for that. And I just think that
that's a good answer.
Always believe in yourself and I just trust yourself. And I think that it was always better for me to learn by doing and not to learn by, I guess, learning.
All right. Don't learn by learning.
No, he had a good answer. I like that answer. Josh, you go.
Mine would be to chase your passion. Because I'm now working in hockey.
Chase or change?
I love this question.
You say chase or change your passion?
Chase your passion.
Oh, right.
Because I was fucking around at a burger joint and at Sheridan for robotics before I finally figured out, you know what? I enjoy hockey. Let's get into sports. And that took me way too long to figure out. So it would be chase your passion.
Yeah, okay. This question was more to you guys because I'm only 19. So my 5 years ago for me was 13, 14. And for me, I guess it's more just you're going into high school, try to hit the books a little harder, So
yeah,
I don't know. I think
you weren't the most attentive student.
I came in clutch though at the end, but I don't know. So I think another question to ask, just kind of, you guys kind of already mentioned it. What advice would you give to someone like me or your age, but 5 years before? So Brandon, what advice would you give to a 17-year-old? Josh, what advice would you give to a 19-year-old? Just because you are a motivational podcast.
Are we?
I think we are.
All right. Have fun while you can, because you never know when it'll end.
Honestly, you know what? And that sounds really fucked up and deep and
Yeah.
right? But it's true, and I don't want to bring up personal points. And I know, especially with Josh, he had a difficult time, especially going through coronavirus and everyone with the pandemic. You're right, and I totally agree that you never know when your last day is going to be your last day, and that's not me being scary. It's literally like I've seen a lot of tragic things happen around me, not necessarily to my family close personally, but even if you're 17, I think that. You're so far gone from having to worry about the most important things in your life that you should be just head down looking for memories.
And don't worry what other people think.
There you go. I gotta stop this, and we're gonna tear up.
Unless you're like breaking the law, then maybe ease up.
That was
So
good. Oh, sorry, I was gonna do it.
No, you go, Matt.
No, I was gonna do a closing thing.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, let's make sure we'll get this episode out ASAP. And
Matt's now going to close the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So great podcast, boys. I really liked it. We'll be back early next week, either Monday or Tuesday. And we'll see you guys. Enjoy the NBA Finals. And the Euros at Sunday at 3:30, I think. Josh,
nope,
3:30?
Just 3. Soccer actually starts on time. When they say 3, they mean 3.
Okay, yep. See you guys and take care. Goodbye.
Come on, England!